The Holy Book says that nothing is impossible to him who believes. And over the weekend, we saw one of the greatest human accomplishments at the London Marathon, after Sebastian Sawe became the first man in history to run a sub 2-hour marathon in a competitive race. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. Once again, I'm excited to be here to give you all of the latest information, education, and top-notch analysis on your favorite show. I don't do this alone. I do it in company of my homeboy, Bankole Oladun. Also serves as our in-house pundit when it comes to the Tipsters Corner. On the Tipsters Corner, we give you tips going into the weekend for contests. Once again, it is Sports Pizza, where we talk everything sport. Right about now, we'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll open all of the pages to dissect all we have in store for you. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. It is Sports Pizza. With me on set is my usual homeboy, Banky Oladuni. Bankole, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good, Edwin. Just like I was telling you off camera, it was one of the least exciting weekends in terms of football generally.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. For some reason, it felt like an international break. You know, you have
maybe not so much Premier League action.
Yeah, even the games with jeopardy, like the Arsenal Newcastle game, I didn't feel any ounce of excitement about it. It was quite boring. They did 2 semi-finals in the FA Cup. Well, I don't think it took me off my feet either. In the Spanish La Liga, both Barcelona and Real Madrid also. I understand that Getafe are probably one of the most boring teams to ever play football. But also, you'd expect a bit of excitement in that also. Although the Spanish La Liga might be just done and dusted. And then to wrap it all off, you had the perfect Milan Juventus game to just show you how boring this entire weekend was. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't exactly filled with a lot of excitement.
But let's talk about these games.
Yeah, but I think going into the final part of the season, that might just change for a bit.
All right, let's start with the FA Cup, and we have Man City versus Chelsea in the final. It was a bit of a hassle for Manchester City. They had to come from a goal down. We thought Southampton were going to cause an upset. For Chelsea, it was pretty much straightforward against Leeds United. Both teams will face off in the final. But let's focus on Chelsea for a moment. Do you think they would have been in the final if Liam Rossellini was still the manager?
I don't know. I'm not certain as to how much of an answer I can give to that, because you look at what Leeds did on it. I don't think Leeds was special. I don't think even with Liam Rossellini, I don't think you'd have seen a different ball game from Leeds. So I think it was more of what Leeds didn't do than what Chelsea did. I think Chelsea were not spectacular on the day. I don't think they outplayed Leeds. The first half generally was diabolical, from Leeds. It took a halftime booing, from their fans to even see them up their game, and for them, to change the entire shape of the team. But for Chelsea, I get that Liam Rossellini probably screwed the push right there. But I still think for the attitude, the how you say it, the ante, they hopped the ante for that particular encounter, and I have mixed feelings about it. When you look at what they did against Brighton the other day, and then you look at the total opposite of it against.
Maybe it's the manager bounce. Maybe with has been lifted off their shoulders.
No, but I still think it says a lot about the players. If you can. Just go from 0 to 100, and especially when you consider that
psychology,
champions,
they're going through a bad part.
No, I don't.
Something comes and I don't sort of like lights up.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I just said I have mixed feelings about it. When you see this same set of players do not turn up against Brighton in the Premier League, and just a couple of days later, they are playing, they are running, they are covering ground.
But there are periods in your life where, even with your other works, and you're working and there's a strain on you, there's pressure on you, there's gloom and doom, somehow you tend not to give your 100%, right?
Yeah, but that's just
then
me.
Something happens.
But when it comes out to 11, 15 players all at the same time,
under the same umbrella, under the same gloom and doom.
But in the Premier League, you still have something to fight for. People have said, "Oh, the FA Cup is an opportunity to win a trophy." The Premier League, you still have an opportunity to get to the Champions League. And with Chelsea, we know how their wages is hinging, you know, on qualifying for the Champions League. So, like I said, I'm not sure how to feel, you know, about that performance. But I don't think anything would have changed, you know, even if Liam Rossini was in charge.
If you're a Chelsea fan right now and you have two options, win the FA Cup but miss out on the Champions League, or lose the FA Cup, qualify for the Champions League, which are you going for?
I think
in this moment,
you'd have to lose the FA Cup and qualify for the Champions League. Not qualifying
really?
for the not qualifying for the Champions League would put Chelsea in a difficult financial situation. You look.
That's on the board. That's not on the players.
Yeah,
not on the
fans. But also the players, like I said,
not
the
that
players
this
are
Chelsea
also,
team are going to win the Champions League next season.
Yeah, but also you look at the mess they've made this season. The only way they can actually maybe solve a bit of problem is by having the financial capability which the Champions League will give them. Without the Champions League, I don't think they would have enough money to go into the transfer window and, you know, resolve some of the things that we're seeing. Because you look at the likes of Garnacho, you look at the likes of, you know, Andre Santos, you look at the centre-back situation at Chelsea, you'd expect them to bring in more players. You expect them to bring in more capable players, which will require money. Money that you would not have if you don't qualify for the Champions League. And Chelsea, as it is already in a mess in terms of the financial fair play, in terms of the PSR and all the abbreviations, you know, in the Premier League. So I think qualifying for the Champions League is of utmost importance, you know, for Chelsea. So I don't think the FA Cup is going to be that big of a deal. Like I said, I'm not sure how much, you know, value domestic cup competition still carry, you know, these days. The FA Cup, as nice, as prestigious as it might be, it would only make things more difficult for you by getting into the Europa League, which, like I said, carries zero value. Unlike the Champions League, where you have a lot, 8 games guaranteed, and that gives you about 100.
I think you're talking from the angle of the owners of the club, as fans or as a Chelsea fan. Hypothetically, I think you go for what you can feel, what you can celebrate, what you can enjoy, than the unknown.
I don't think so. I think Chelsea fans have seen their team win the Club World Cup, and they've seen what followed after winning the Club World Cup. So
but it has changed. The dynamics of the season has changed.
No, exactly.
Right now, in this moment, like I said, it's all doom and gloom. Maybe an FA Cup will give them some sort of.
If this was 3 seasons ago, I probably would have
shining light in a great
But
crowd.
we've seen a lot of precedents in the last couple of seasons where winning the trophy is not exactly the validation that fans would want. You like I said, with Chelsea, you won the Conference League and the Club World Cup, and we've seen how it has gone since then. Spurs won the Europa League with Postecoglou, and we've seen how it has gone from then. So I don't think them winning the FA Cup would all of a sudden give them high hopes about going into next season. I think for Chelsea fans, the priority will be about them performing next season and getting into the Champions League places or competing, you know, against the best teams, you know, in the league next season, rather than just, you know, winning the FA Cup.
All right, quickly, let's touch on Manchester City. At the start of this year, it was City and Arsenal going for a quadruple. Right now, City definitely will not do a quadruple, but there's a possibility that they could do a domestic treble. Now, from the position they were in December, where there were questions about Pep Guardiola, questions about the team and the mentality, to this position, Banky, if City go on to win the domestic treble, they have one cup in the bag already, that's the League Cup. They are the final of the FA Cup. They are slight favourites to win the Premier League. If they do that, does it cement Pep's legacy as the greatest manager in Premier League history?
I probably wouldn't say cement his legacy as the greatest manager in Premier League history, simply because there's a certain Sir Alex Ferguson who, when you talk about Premier League, you have to talk about Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, the Liverpool era of the 80s, the Kenny Dalglishes of this world. I think he would be up there. You know, if you want to do a Mount Rushmore of Premier League managers, definitely Pep will get into it. But outright greatest is going to be difficult. Even if he goes on to win the domestic treble, there are managers like I said, Sir Alex Ferguson, who has won, you know, double digits, you know, Premier League titles. Yeah. I don't think, you know, he has done that, you know, with Manchester City. Yes, he has changed Manchester City in terms of their standing in European football. He has elevated them to the absolute pinnacle. Yeah. But in terms of hierarchy of the greatest managers in the Premier League, I think it will take a lot more years for him to catch up to the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson. I think Sir Alex Ferguson is still up there as the greatest. I still think whatever Pep might do this season, even if this is his final season at Manchester City, is also going to be regarded, in time as one of the greatest managers to have coached in the Premier League. But I don't think him winning the domestic treble, I don't think him winning, the Premier League would automatically cement his place as the greatest. Now, it would just put him up there as one of the greatest. He like I said, he's just going to be up there. His picture and his image will be up there in the Mount Rushmore, but not the outright greatest.
All right, away from the English Premier League, where do we head to? It's done and dusted in La Liga. Barcelona awaiting champions.
Yeah, 11 points ahead of Real Madrid. I think for Real Madrid, this is a pretty much disappointing season, especially when you consider the situation Barcelona have been in in the last 2 years, and how much Real Madrid have also spent. Bringing in Kylian Mbappe, he brought in Jude Bellingham. Yes, he has won the Champions League and also the La Liga title. But in the last 2 seasons, the gap at which both teams have shown in terms of quality, you shouldn't expect that from a Real Madrid team. I think Real Madrid are not a team that should be 11 points behind, Barcelona. And looking at this team, it could even get worse, before the end of the season. I think kudos to Barcelona. I think they've done a good job. And to Flick, I had my reservations about him when he took the job at Barcelona, but I think he has done a very good job. I think he has brought in a system that the young players at Barcelona have bought into. He resolved the whole mess with Robert Lewandowski also. So I think for Hansi Flick, he has done what you'd expect of a Real Madrid manager. But going into next season, I think there are a lot of things for Real Madrid to sort. Barcelona still in a better position to win the La Liga next season. But although you'd also want to say in the last decade it has always been Barcelona dominating the La Liga. So nothing has really changed, but you still expect more from Real Madrid.
Awaiting champions in Italy also, Inter Milan. Just a few words for them.
I'm not even going to say anything for Inter Milan. I think the biggest thing from Inter Milan at the moment is Federico Di Marco, who has broken the assist record in the Serie A. Set by Papu Gomez, Atalanta. And you look at that, and a lot of people still struggle to know if Di Marco is good or not. And people who ask that question, I tell them, you look at Di Marco and you look at how basically you think of a Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool is that type of player for Inter Milan. He is their playmaker from wing back. He is their entire creative hub, and it's not just a one type of assist. I think he has a lot of varieties in his assist. This is in 17. For a fullback, and there's still a handful of games to go. So we could probably see a 20-20 plus assist record from Federico Di Marco. So I think that's the standout story from this weekend. But Inter Milan, yes, the title is wrapped up.
Definitely title wrapped up in the Italian Serie A, in the Spanish La Liga, and of course the German Bundesliga, where once again Bayern Munich had to come from 3 goals down to get all 3 points at Mainz. It is the Champions League week, semi-finals first leg. You enjoy all of the games. We're giving you all of the reactions after the Champions League semi-finals. Let's go on a short break. When we return, there's so much more to talk about on your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. Welcome back from that short break. I did promise we have a couple of things to talk about on the show. Still have Bankole in the building. Banky, it is no longer news that the NFF are actively pursuing a couple of players, trying to recruit them to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. These are players who are born outside Nigeria but have Nigeria ancestry. Guys like Osula, Newcastle United, and a couple of others. For a country that has failed to qualify for consecutive World Cups, is this the best strategy?
Honestly,
I'm laughing.
I don't know if it's the best strategy, but I think it is one strategy. I don't necessarily subscribe with the fact that there is an abundance of talent in the league. I don't agree with that. So if you want to look for the next best thing, it would be going outside of the country and looking for players with Nigerian heritage who could possibly play for the country. And but you also look at the players that they are going after. It doesn't exactly inspire you confidence. You know, you look at the likes of Osula, especially in a position, you know, where you have Victor Osimhen, you have Ademola Lookman, you have Akko Adams. You know, there's even the likes of Terry Muffin, who you're not even going to call.
In and out of the team.
And I still think he's, you know, probably better than a certain William Osula, although he's significantly younger than a Terry Muffin. But yeah, I still don't subscribe with the fact that. But I'm not sure where I stand here, because you look at this strategy and it has given us results. You know, Alex Iwobi, Ademola Lookman, Calvin Bassey, these are guys who are integral parts, you know, of the current, you know, Super Eagles. So if this system has produced, you know, players like this, it won't be entirely, you know, far-fetched, you know, to continue that strategy. But I also think if you are doing this strategy in total negligence of, you know, developing talents back home, that's where there's a problem. You know, and I think that's exactly what the NFF and the entire footballing body in the country is doing. I think first of all, you need to ensure that the developmental path for young players in the country, the under-17, the under-20, the under-23 teams that will be representing the country, the Dream Eagles, that will be representing the country at the Olympics. These are the things that you should concentrate on first. Then the players from Denmark, the players from England would be an added bonus to this. But yeah, I think the NFF is always going to be the total opposite of common sense, and that's exactly what we are seeing right here. So yeah, good luck to them in their pursuits for whoever. Hopefully, I know the job is going to be difficult given how we are not, you know, going to the World Cup. If we were going to the World Cup, then maybe we would have another incentive, you know, to attract these guys. But yeah, like I said, just good luck to them.
Enough football, it's time to talk other things. And this time, Bankole, it is one of the greatest feats, not just in sports, but in human history. Running a competitive marathon race under 2 hours. It has, I'm trying to put my words together to sort of like paint a perfect picture of this. Now, I know it is not as big as going to the moon or going to space, but putting your body under such rigor, putting your body or stretching the limits, I think that's a better way to put it.
Define biology.
Yeah, stretching the limits of how far human can go, how much human can accomplish. We saw it at the London Marathon. Sebastian Sawe from Kenya is already the man of the year for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially you also consider it's also in one of the most prestigious, you know, marathons, the London Marathon. I think there can't be any bigger stage, you know, to accomplish this feat. But when you also look at, you know, the demographic of Kenyans, Ethiopians, and how probably because of their country and the climate of their country, their body has adapted, you know, to certain conditions. But even with that in mind, this is still an extraordinary, you know, achievement, and I think this is something that, you know, is not just for Kenya but also Africa as a whole. I think this has always been something that has always been our home.
Yeah.
You know, the marathons. You'd always look at, you know, that particular.
I like how you said our own.
Our own. I mean, Africans. You know, but has always been something that you consider Africans as favorites, no matter you know where it might be. So yeah, I think this is. I wouldn't necessarily go as him being man of the year, but yes, this is an extraordinary.
You know the beautiful thing about the race, he was not the only guy who broke the sub-2-hour time. The athlete who goes by the name Yomif Kejelcha also broke the sub-2-hour, running a time of 1:59:41. But for Sebastian, he ran a time of 1:59:30 seconds. What an achievement! What an accomplishment!
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it is something that you would always see from we Africans, and even though that you know that when it comes to the marathon, this is have always been our niche.
Yeah. This
is still, you know, should still be considered an extraordinary feat. Less than 2 hours in the marathon is not something you see at all. You know, it's not something we've ever seen.
Just running the length of this studio.
Yeah, I mean, just the stairs alone, and you're already breathing funny. But yeah, this is an extraordinary feat, Edwin.
All right, we need to go on a short break. We'll give you a video for the week. When we return, wrap up with the Pointers segment. Welcome back. It is the final segment on your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. This is the Tipsters Corner, and we have two games for our punters going into the weekend. We have Manchester United versus Liverpool. It is the Northwest Derby, while in Italy, it is Como versus Napoli. Remember, we are not responsible for any bet loss. We only give you expert analysis on the possible outcomes of these games. And doing us the honors, as usual, is Bankole Oladuni. Banky, two games, what should our punters expect?
Yeah, for the United Liverpool game, I don't know, this might be an unpopular opinion or maybe semi-unpopular opinion, but I don't think there's any jeopardy, in that game. Both teams seem to be relatively safe in terms of
there's rivalry.
Places. Yes, there's the case of rivalry, but I don't think that carries a lot of weight, these days. But yeah, I think United seem like a team who probably might not lose that game. A double chance United to score also seems like something that you might want to put your money on. Liverpool, there's a bit of doubt about Mo Salah's appearance in that particular encounter. I picked a bit of knock, in their last game against Crystal Palace, but I still think United are favourites going into this game. I think Michael Carrick has done a good job in terms of turning the situation around at United. So I think a double chance United to score also seems like something that you might go with. And over 1.5 also. I can't remember the last time this game delivered on that 1.5. So over 1.5 seems like something that you can bank on. But for Como against Napoli, another game that you can bank on goals. And over 1.5 in this game seems favourable. Napoli being the favourites, you would want to give away win to nil? No. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet in this encounter. I also think Como would score. Just like I said, Napoli will keep a clean sheet. But over 1.5, both teams to score. Over 0.5 second half. You can also bank on corners. Como and Napoli are really good in terms of getting corners. So you can also go for the over 8.5 over 9.5 corner.
There you have it from our in-house expert analyst, Bankole Oladuni. Remember, we are not responsible for any bet loss. You have to be 18 years and above to take part in this betting. And don't forget that you can follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. If you missed previous editions of the show, we have a dedicated YouTube channel. You can catch up on all the previous editions of the show. Banky, it's always a pleasure having you on set.
Yeah, Edwin, it's always good doing this with you. Myself, to our audience, have yourself a lovely, lovely weekend.
And from me, Edwin Onyebolise, enjoy all of the sporting actions. We'll see you same time next week.